This is Kits and Wagers for Gameweek 13 in the Premier League. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen. Let's get 6 bets going in the Premier League. Chris, I wouldn't say we're down bad, but we're not up good. So welcome in. We don't have to talk too much about last week. I don't know if you want to talk too much about last week. Somewhat unlucky, somewhat some bad bets in there, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I'd say more bad bets than unlucky, honestly. It wasn't anything super heartbreaking. I think the one that I'm most upset about
my Chelsea bet was unlucky. I'll throw that in there.
Yeah, that was the 96-minute penalty kick bailout.
That started the weekend off. Yeah, and then it just
things went downhill from there. I was my over 6.5 corners for Man United against Ipswich was just a bad bet, I think. Yeah. But we're back. We're back. It's a big week. I feel like we're coming back. We've got a fun one here this week, so we're a little early.
Yeah, we're talking on Wednesday because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. So we're actually talking before Wednesday Champions League matches, Thursday Europa Conference League games. We don't usually do that, so we're going in blind here a bit. So this is before Liverpool take on Real Madrid, before we're not talking about Aston Villa, but before Aston Villa, Juventus, and then Tottenham, Manchester United play on Thursday. So we're talking about some of these teams before they actually play midweek. So, fingers crossed something weird doesn't happen. But records are up on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, make sure to give a like to this video, subscribe to our channel at RotoWire Soccer. 18 and 15. I'm still up money. Chris is he's bordering on it right now. He's hit a lot of plus money bets. So even though he's 12 and 18, he's just under the cut line there. He's down 169 on $100 bets, but he has another plus 200 bet this week. So he's going to try and get above that line. So Chris, let's start it off with the first game. Yeah, what do you got?
Live and die by the sword. Mama didn't raise no little boy here. We got to I'm putting in some bets that are worthwhile here. So I will say
live and
one
die by the sword.
I send Adam my bets every week, and I live and die by his reaction. He's like, oh, nice bet. Okay. And Adam loved all the bets this week. So I'm feeling really confident coming into the week. So I'm ready to screw down some good bets here.
Yeah, to be fair, I think I didn't like any of your bets last week.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I had bad vibes coming into the show.
Also, stay tuned. We might be doing our top 3 Thanksgiving foods and drinks. So stay tuned if you're for 30 minutes after this if you're interested in our takes. If everyone remembers, we had the biggest show ever, our Christmas cookie rankings. I think that was the best one we've ever done.
It was huge,
maybe this one's gonna blow up too. But Chris, the first game we got here Saturday morning, Brentford are home against Leicester City. Brentford are minus 145 to win. Leicester City are plus 360. Again, rotowire.com/betting/soccer. You can see all this line movement. Big news here is Steve Cooper is out. Leicester City lost at home against Chelsea last game. It's kind of a weird sacking for Leicester City. Not only was it, I don't know what they expected from Steve Cooper this season, Leicester City, but, after 12 games, after the international break, they lost at home to Chelsea, which was to be expected. Then they're just like, you know what, let's get rid of you right now before this game. So new manager bump for Leicester City, or are you going with Thomas Frank at home?
I'm going with Thomas Frank at home. It's just a weird sacking. Like they had 2 weeks essentially to be like, okay, we're going to bring in a new manager. Now's the time to give them a little bit of time with the team. And so they're like, okay, we just lost a game that we always probably thought we were going to lose to Chelsea, a team in form, a team that's, they're vastly overmatching Leicester City. They're like, let's get rid of them. So I also thought that was a little bit weird. This is a great little matchup. Brentford has been, the most probably fun team to watch at home this season. They are currently leading the league in goals, both goals and goals against. They have 18 goals at home, 11 goals against. They actually are the best side at home in the league so far this season. 5 wins, 1 draw. They have the most 16 points out of 6 games, which is, pretty impressive. That's more than City, more than Liverpool. So they've been really good at home. And I am going with them money line at home and over 2.5. I'm a little, you mentioned the new manager bump. I think Leicester City probably will try to pack it in a little bit more and be a little bit more conservative. Not that they necessarily were, they weren't enterprising, I'd say, but they were scoring a lot of goals and giving up a lot of goals. But I like Brentford money line and over 2.5. It's plus 125. I think Brentford keep they got a good thing going. I think they continue it at home, and I think there's a few goals here. They just play, some of the most appealing football. So I think they continue that, and there's a couple, maybe this is a 2-1, 3-1 game here for Brentford.
They also get Norgard was sent off last week. I think that was right at the end of the first half for a couple of yellow card, or maybe it was straight red. They got that repealed, so he's available again for Brentford. But yeah, I was kind of surprised you gave that stat about their home record, but you go through the schedule, and basically all their home games so far have been against bottom half sides, outside of the Bournemouth one. Though Bournemouth is kind of right there, I think 9th, 10th place right now. So Brentford have had a fairly easy schedule. I don't know, might be something to bet against going forward as the second half of the season. I guess they're all playing all the top half sides in the second half. So maybe something to bet against for Brentford. But yeah, I'm kind of on this line of thinking with, it's always good to bet Brentford overs. Maybe you get a little bit of the new manager bump. Maybe there's some motivation from Leicester. Maybe they get 1 or 2 goals, but they're still, not a very good team. So I'm fine. I'm good taking the Brentford money line. I'm always good taking Thomas Frank at home against weaker sides. So we'll take that. That's a single game parlay. Brentford money line with over 2.5 goals. What do you think about throwing in a Wissa anytime goal scoring odds here with this one? Maybe get it to plus 250 or something.
I guess.
Bomo's still the PK taker, but Wissa has been, I don't know. I kind of like him more to score.
Yeah.
And Bomo?
Yeah.
Fine. Go there.
Just stacked on all my FPL teams, so I think I got to.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty popular. Brentford also got a new signing, somewhat their replacement for Ivan Toney over the summer. He had an injury, just returned last week, so just another forward that may steal some time from those guys. So maybe someone to keep an eye on as the season gets moving, see what he can do for them as the technical Ivan Toney replacement. I'm talking about the first match. This is actually a Friday game here. We're scheduling the show a little weird here, but I'm doing the Friday game, 3 p.m. Eastern. So we got under the lights. Brighton are at home against Southampton. Brighton coming off a pretty big win at Bournemouth. They are minus 235 to win. Southampton plus 600. Southampton got a couple goals against Liverpool, but couldn't hold on, which wasn't too surprising. I think the main thing between these teams is Baleba is suspended for this one. He got a couple of yellow cards in the game against Bournemouth. Doesn't help too much, but again, this is a pretty deep team in Brighton. And it seems like, injuries haven't really affected them too much as long as their main guys are still there. It's just been a young team, a deep team, which is, I don't know. It almost seems like Brighton are dealing with their injuries better than Manchester City are dealing with them, which is just kind of crazy to say. But, when you have Man City bringing on Simpson Poussey in the second half against Feyenoord and then allowing 3 goals, you kind of got to wonder, maybe Brighton do have a deeper team than Manchester City. I'm just throwing that one out there. You don't have to agree or disagree. He doesn't
I feel neither way about that. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to let you continue that.
All right, either way, I got Brighton first half corners, minus 1.5. This is minus 110. I guess I should start this off by saying Over the last few weeks, I have been doing the separate corners and wagers show, which has been doing fairly well. And I haven't really been putting in corners bets on this show. I'm changing the vibes here. I'm doing corners bets today because I need some wins coming off an 0-3 week. So we're going to get the wins. We're going to get the corners. Just Brighton at home. Southampton are just a team that sometimes they like to play with possession and don't get anywhere with it. And then other times, like in this situation, they're probably not going to be able to play with possession against a team that's pressing them. I just think it's, first half, I think this is a game where it's going to be Brighton 4 corners, 5 corners, Southampton 1, maybe 2 corners in the first half. So let's just do Brighton minus 1.5 corner in the first half. Simple minus 110 odds there. What do you got here? You think Brighton are going to win this game? They're minus 235 to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to bet against this, just given that what Southampton has looked like. They did show a fair bit of fight last weekend with going up. I thought they were going to win that almost until a couple against Liverpool, but they ended up giving it away. But yeah, I think Brighton just see a lot more possession here. Southampton will probably try to stack it in deep and then counter. But yeah, I mean, two corners more than Southampton seems very doable for Brighton. And I do think that Brighton are going to be able to take away probably all 3 points here too.
Yeah, a good spot. Always home against Southampton, one of the better games more favorable matches of the season. Chris is moving to Sunday for his next game. He's talking about Tottenham coming off of the 4-0 win at Manchester City, which is still kind of crazy, but maybe Manchester City are just a regular team this season. But 4-0 for Tottenham, and they play someone on Thursday, blanking who it actually is, but they do play on Thursday.
Roma.
They're home against Fulham for this. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that sounds right. Tottenham against Roma. I think it's a home game, if I'm not mistaken. They are home against Roma, so that helps a little bit. Tottenham minus 145 against Fulham. Looking at the line movement, it's been all over the place. Not entirely sure why, but just all over the place. You're Fulham plus 330 to win. Romero is not back for the Thursday game, so I'm not sure he's going to be back for this one. Don't think Van de Ven's going to be ready either. So probably we're getting the Ben Davies Dragusin combo that held Erling Haaland off the score sheet last game. Man City had a lot of great chances, but Vicario playing on a broken ankle for 60 minutes managed to keep a clean sheet last week. Probably going to be Fraser Forster in the spot. But do you think Forster in net with 2 backup center backs? Do you think it's going to come back to bite them at some point here in the near future?
I think last week we had to eat what we said there. We kind of were dragging Dragusin and was it Ben Davies and basically the Tottenham backline. We're like, there's no way they're able to show up on game day against a team like Manchester City. We were completely wrong. That's a hand up for us. And so I am of a variety of thoughts here on this one. But I mean, Fulham is a team that they're probably right in line with where we maybe expect them to finish. But they're one, last week I think they had a bad result against Wolves. They win that game and they're top 5, top 6. So they're currently 9th in the table, and Tottenham, they're these are two teams that are eerily similar in where they might end up in the table. Tottenham probably a little bit more favored to finish closer to 5th or 6th, but I'm not here to drag that Tottenham back line after what they did against City last weekend. I think my brain is probably don't trust it, but I saw what I saw and they look great, and against who's traditionally been the best team in the league, and so I'm going to stick with it here. But I'm not going to take any, certainly not taking any clean sheets when it's a Tottenham game. Nothing, no unders, none of that business. I think we know better than that. But I want to say I just want to believe that Tottenham have turned a page maybe, and that they're not going to have this crazy hangover after a 4-0 win over the perennial league leaders. But I'm just taking Tottenham money line in the first half. It's plus 110. I think that they come back out and they're able to find an early lead here, and hopefully a variety of two ends of the spectrum, with Fulham losing to Wolves and Spurs beating City last weekend. I think the responses will be vastly different here. So I think Spurs can keep it going, and I like them in the first half to just kind of jump on them. And it's never about if Spurs are going to create chances. It's about if they're going to finish those chances. And last weekend we saw it happening. James Madison with a double. I think Pedro Porro had one later. I think they're going to be able to jump on Fulham here and win that first half, at least with the money line at plus 110.
So Tottenham are your X-Files team. You want to believe you're just unknowingly dropping X-Files taglines here for Tottenham. But you want to believe, and I don't know, it might feel, you said at the top, like we want to apologize to these guys. I don't know if I want to apologize yet. I feel like there's some recency bias going on. We always knew that Tottenham were going to score in that game. So that part wasn't crazy. That Man City, their back line has been struggling all season. They're kind of losing it on the counter, and that kind of showed up. But they still had great chances to score. Like Haaland should have scored. Vicario came up big a couple times. They had I think it was like over a 2 XG. They should have scored in that game. I do think Fulham, though. I mean, Fulham, they had tons of chances to score against Wolverhampton last week and didn't end up doing it. But for the most part, they've been a team that can score against everyone. But is that going to matter in the first half? We'll see. So Tottenham at home, I think we'll look at this like Tottenham, better team at home. So yeah, might as well just take their money line first half plus 110. Not my favorite bet, but not the worst bet.
I will say this is of the three, this is the one that took me the most amount of time to find a bet. There's a variety of other ways you could go with this too. Like there's, you got, I think the over 3.5 is appetizing. That's plus 105. There's an interesting one was both teams to score in the second half. I actually kind of like this one a little bit too. That's plus 145. So you've got a little bit of different ways to go. I think a lot of these games tend to, we tend to see a couple more. I think, taking the whole Premier League as a whole, we tend to see more goals in the second half. So you could go that way too. But this one was tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it seems like a game where there could be a lot of goals, could be back and forth, that kind of thing. Once we hit the second half. So next game, going back to Saturday. Yeah,
we've got Steven Parada
in comments.
In the comments here, it says Adama Traore, anytime goal scorer lock. Gonna have the arms greased up. He's gonna have the arms greased up. I don't know that we're gonna see a goal out of him, but that's it.
He will be coming off the bench probably.
Yeah,
Reece Nelson has been starting on the wing for them, the Arsenal loanee. But on Saturday, Wolverhampton are home against Bournemouth. Wolverhampton coming off again a little positive run of results here. 4-1 win at Fulham. They're plus 175 for this one. Bournemouth are plus 145 coming off opposite. They were up a man for the second half of that game against Brighton. Still couldn't get an equalizer there. They're plus 145 to win. Big thing here, Antoine Semenyo, who basically almost hasn't missed a minute for them this season, is suspended. He has 5 yellow cards. So that kind of changes some things up. But the way I'm looking at this is, Wolverhampton got the win. I think they still finished with like 9 shots. They got 4 goals from 9 shots, something like that at Fulham. They're still a team that's going to want to go on the counter, bottom 3, bottom 4 in terms of possession. Even at home, I think there's a spot where Bournemouth are a team that's going to be pressing them, are a team that's going to be getting more action. I think that's going to, even away from home, even at Wolverhampton here, I think Bournemouth are a better team to get corners, and I'm going back to a first half corners bet here. So just Bournemouth minus 0.5 corners in the first half. So Bournemouth to have more corners in the first half is plus 105 odds. I just think that the way these teams play, even though it's at Wolverhampton, I don't think that they're going to come out and just like go all out and change up their strategy, because that's going to open up their defense. Like I don't think that's how they're going to play really against anyone, because that's not really what they want to do. So when they're playing like that and leaving their back line open, that led to 6 goals allowed against Chelsea, a lot of bad defensive performances. And I think that they've changed that a little bit, focusing more on the counterattack than anything. So let's do Bournemouth corners plus 105. What do you think?
Yeah, interesting here. Wolves coming off of, like I said, a big result, and Bournemouth have been, as they've been a tough team for a lot of teams here. But yeah, just one more corner. I think I'd take that, especially for the plus odds.
Yeah, no, Semenyo is worrisome, but like they'll bring in Tango, they'll bring in Ryan Christie's back from suspension. Like they still have guys who they're not gonna, I don't think, change massively if they're able to get corners, kind of a thing. So
yeah.
All right, Chris. It's the match of the weekend. The only reason Steve Parada, noted Manchester City fan, is listening right now, watching on YouTube. We have Liverpool home against Manchester City. Liverpool plus. I almost said minus. We're not there yet. We're not at minus. Liverpool is plus 110 to win. Yeah. Manchester City plus 220. The draw is plus 260. Liverpool still has some things going on. Again, they play today. TAA possibly going to come off the bench today. Man City, I'm not sure they're going to be getting anyone back who's been out. That we could see De Bruyne finally get a start. We don't really know what his fitness has been the last couple weeks, but this is a big game here. Notably big game. Liverpool, if they win, they're in a great spot to continue at the top of the table, and that also basically puts Man City out of the running to win the league, I'd say, with a loss here. So you disagree. I'm just saying possible. Obviously not good of them if they just lost here with 0 points, but
it's a pretty big game here. Pretty big blanket statement for a December 1 game is like City out of the title race. I don't think that's fair, even if they do lose. But, anyways, so what, I feel insert Ron Swanson snickering gif here for me the last couple of weeks as I watched City, struggle, drop 5 straight. And then yesterday, I mean, I didn't watch the full game. I just caught the highlights there, but I was, checking my phone. I saw City was up 3-0. I was like, all right, good. They're back. They're back to doing the things that they typically do. And then I look like, 40 minutes later, and it was 3-3 at the Etihad. So they lost 4-0 on Sunday, and then they lost 3-3 again at home, or they tied 3-3 at home. So and then now they got to travel Liverpool. One stat that I found interesting is City have won twice in the last 21 years at Anfield. So one was, I think, 2 seasons ago when they won 4-1, and then back in 2003. So they don't win at Anfield typically. So and especially in a form like this, I feel like it is tough for me to despite how good City is typically, it's tough for me to take a City win here. I mean, you could argue for a draw here, just given that last season both results were 1-1, both at Anfield and the Etihad. So, but I'm not going that way. Got the Liverpool pullover on here. I'm taking Liverpool money line and both teams to score. It's plus 205, so definitely my spiciest bet of the week. I think it's. What have we seen from City in the past, month or so that would lead me to believe that we should take a bet with them? Liverpool have looked great. Prepared to eat my words here next week if this one doesn't hit. But I do think that despite Liverpool, keeping a pretty good defensive record so far this season, I do think City are going to be able to find the back of the net. I just think Liverpool win this, and it's plus 205. So I think that's how we roll here. Are you with us or against this?
There it is. I'll put it up here. Liverpool money line and both teams to score plus 205. Steve wants a friendly bet here, the Man City fan. You can look at this a couple ways here. I'm with your bet just based off of how Manchester City are playing. We said last week just Tottenham on the counter. Man City have been struggling against everyone on the counter. Liverpool, maybe the best team in the league on the counter this season. Just when you have Diaz, Gakpo, Salah going at you, that is also their best way to score. I think basically the way Man City have to win or can win is if they don't play the same way they've been playing. I think they actually have to change their strategy to be able to win this. Because if they play with let's possess the ball more than Liverpool, let's do what we're doing, they're just going to – what they've been doing, they've just been making mistakes, and there's going to be a free run at their goal multiple times. And we've seen Salah and these guys so many times this season just capitalize on that. Why is it going to be different? Tottenham just carved them up. Feyenoord carved them up at the end of that game on the counter. Why is it going to be different? I think Pep just honestly, he has to change his tactics. They have to play a little without the ball because I don't think that's the way Liverpool actually want to play this game. So maybe like an Unai Emery kind of tactic, just do something that the other team doesn't want to do. Maybe if they do that, I think edge Man City, but I mean, they played the same way Pep's entire career. So like they're probably not going to change how they play. So just my thoughts on it.
You meant like they're not
Oasis.
They're not getting Diaz back. They're like, Kevin De Bruyne is already in San Diego. He's ready. He's not. His heart's not at City anymore. Like, I don't know. It's tough to see, for City, but they have not been winning at Anfield. And I just like, is it 6 straight? Is this and interesting timing too with Pep's re-signing his contract to stay at City here too? It seemed like this would have been the perfect time for him to leave, but I mean, doubling down. So credit to him, obviously, but I don't see a way in which City win this game at Anfield, but if they do, certainly turns the season on its head a little bit. So.
Would you change your mind if Liverpool lost today at home against Real Madrid?
No, somebody made a good point on a podcast I was listening to. And it was like, if you were Arne Slot and you have this Real Madrid game today, but you're in pretty good standing here in the Champions League table, would you like maybe try to rotate a little bit and save your guys for Sunday, where you can basically, put out your best 11 and have a guys couple of rest a little bit, despite, having a big game Wednesday. It's like, that's kind of a good idea, but I don't think I'd change my bet.
I mean, who would you rotate though?
I mean, I think
Tsimikas is hurt. TAA is hurt.
I'd probably just like sit McAllister and probably maybe bring Gravenberch off the bench and play like Endo in the middle.
McAllister just came off the bench.
Yeah, he didn't play. Yeah, I think he played very sparingly last weekend, but
maybe he didn't even play.
I think you give those guys a fair bit of rest. I'm not saying he's going to do this. I'm just saying, like, it's an idea. You sit Endo in the middle, maybe bring Gravenberch off the bench later. Try to give those guys a little rest here before a big game on Sunday, and arguably a game that probably means a little bit more than the Real Madrid game. And so I thought that was an interesting idea. But all to say, I don't think Wednesday's result has an effect on Sunday's result or on Sunday's lineup. I would honestly argue that it means less, but I thought that was an interesting idea.
Yeah. Again, this conversation is taking place basically 1 hour before lineups come out for Liverpool, Real Madrid. So, maybe some of this conversation is moot at that point. But one last point I will say is I think Liverpool are a bit overrated right now. They're minus 120 to win the league. Okay, they're 8 points up. That makes sense. But I don't know. It just feels like when you look at the way they're playing and the way they're winning some of these games, I don't know if it's overall sustainable the rest of the way. I feel like more teams are going to play them like Nottingham Forest. So many of these teams, so many of these games, like, why is Southampton like putting themselves in a position where they're still letting Liverpool go on a counter against them? Like, stop Liverpool. Like, don't put that many guys up. Like, limit the counters against them, and that takes away basically all of Liverpool's best opportunities. Liverpool's best way of scoring is on the counter, getting Salah and company on the wings and scoring. Like, obviously, it's not possible to completely take that away, but you can play differently to actually take that away. It's been so many times where even on a corner, I don't even know if it happened in a recent game. Maybe it was a Southampton game. I don't know. It could have been a different one. But Southampton had a corner. It was headed out. Then all of a sudden, it was like a 2-1 breakaway for Liverpool. It's like, don't put yourself into that situation. It's like, that can happen. Just don't do it. You got like, these teams got to play. I think eventually they're going to play differently, but I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. So that's what I'll say about Liverpool. I think the draws and non-wins will start to come at some point.
Yeah, I mean, they did have one of similar to Brentford. They have had a pretty easy schedule to at least in the beginning part of the season. It's definitely stacked up in late October and November with some harder matches. But I mean, they benefited from playing, like starting the season with Ipswich and playing some of those easier teams. So yeah, I mean, in Saturday's result against Southampton, given it was right after the international break, but Sunday's result rather, they could have lost that one easily. Like they probably didn't deserve to win that as they did. But yeah, I mean, you make a good point.
All right, let's move on. We got Ruben Amorim's third game in charge. Again, Manchester United, I think they're home against Bodo Glimt on Thursday. Manchester United, these odds kind of took me by surprise a little bit. They're minus 195 to win this game. Everton are plus 500. The draw is plus 330. I don't know if some of these odds are going into the fact that Everton have had a pretty easy schedule over the last couple months. They really haven't played any of the top teams, but can you argue that is Manchester United a top team? You took them on the corners last week, and it's going to take some time here. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to play under Amorim. They did go with more of a 3-4-2-1-ish look, got that early goal, and then they were outplayed by Ipswich Town for large portions of that game. I've seen things where Amorim has been just like pushing his guys to press, moving guys like Casemiro up, moving the video I saw was like moving Johnny Evans up to press a little bit more. Some of these guys just aren't comfortable with doing that, especially the older ones like Evans and Casemiro. We'll see what the lineup looks like because Luke Shaw returned. Lisandro Martinez will probably return from his injury Thursday. So you're going to get actually younger guys back on the pitch. I actually moved out Casemiro for Ugarte in the starting 11 in this one. I think that'll eventually help. But again, it's still pretty early with Amorim. We're talking their third game. He's basically been with a lot of these guys for only about a week because it was the international break. So what did I bet on this? I went to Everton. It took a long time on this one. I'm taking Everton over 4.5 corners at plus 100 odds. I was going to go Everton race to 5 corners. I think it's like plus 295. But the more I looked at it, they've had a lot of easy matchups, and I can't really look at those past results. And United have dominated this matchup just because United are a better team almost across the pitch. At the end of the day, it will come down to what does being a better team overall with Amorim not really gelling together just yet, combined with playing at home. Maybe that's going to matter here, but I still think either way, I think Everton can at least get corners against this team that are still trying to figure some things out. So let's do Everton over 4.5 corners plus 100 odds. What do you think? You bet on Manchester United corners last week. What about betting against them, their corners this week?
Wasn't it? Yeah, wasn't that game like 4-2 corners, I think?
Yeah, 4-2, 4-3, something like that.
Yeah, it was both of them didn't hit their over corners. You're right in the fact that it's going to take time for United to like get back to playing this 3-5 or 3-5-2 ish, I guess, basically, or 3-5-1 maybe they're playing. And Amad Diallo is at like left wing back. He actually looked pretty good, and then Luke Shaw at left center back, which I liked. Everton, getting 5 corners. I think I feel like this might be a stretch. I don't know if I love this one, but here to support you emotionally.
It might be a stretch. We've seen Everton have been getting corners. Maybe it's just been a matchup thing. I feel like last 2 months they've played only bottom half sides, so maybe that's been part of it. I just saw like Omari Hutchinson kind of carving up this midfield a few days ago, and I'm like, why not? Why can't like Dwight McNeil do a little something in the midfield? Why can't like Idrissa Gueye like be a better, just be like a dominant ball stopper in the midfield kind of thing against these guys? Why not? I think it's possible. All
right, fair enough.
All right, that's our 6 bets here. Again, here's a cheat sheet, rotowire.com/soccer trial. This is the FBL cheat sheet. Do you have anything else here before we get to our Thanksgiving hype here?
No, I mean, this is a pretty stacked slate here. We didn't touch on the Chelsea Aston Villa game, but that's a top, what is it, 5-6 game there. So that one should be a pretty good game too. So I don't know how that's going to go, but it looks like, yeah, Chelsea's a slight favorite here. But that's probably the other big game that we got to keep an eye on this weekend.
I'm surprised neither one of us talked about the Tractor Boys here. That was on my list, maybe next week, but Nottingham Forest host Ipswich Town. An intriguing matchup. Ipswich or Nottingham Forest. I don't know if I want to say surprisingly big favorite, but I'm not sure I believe in Nottingham Forest as a bigger favorite against some of these weaker sides. But all right, Chris, this is your idea, so I'll send it to you. We're doing top 3 here, Thanksgiving food, drinks. I'll shoot it to you here. What do you got?
All right, how about I go one and then you go one, and then we snake draft here, kind of on these top things here. My first number one is just Thanksgiving is maybe my favorite holiday, just because it's, you don't have to give out. There's very little responsibilities of something like that you'd have on Christmas. You don't have to give out any gifts. You're just making a really nice meal. You're having some good food. For me, I appreciate not having to travel. So that's kind of nice. I'm stuck out of here in Seattle. So the first one for me is that first cracked beer of Thanksgiving. Maybe it's slightly before noon, but you're prepping the turkey or whatever, your bird, going into the oven, and you're just, it's an exciting time, and you want to make sure you get it right. And so without that, you kind of need your first beer. And so I'm going to leave that as my number one drink, and then I'll get into my I'll do main, appetizer, main course, and then I'll do the after dinner option here. So my first one is the first beer cracked, and typically a Miller High Life, because it's a celebration. You need a little champagne. What do you think?
What time for beer?
Yeah.
What time is your first cracked beer? Yeah.
11 a.m. I don't know. Depends, I think
okay.
If you get the smoker, I'm going to be smoking. Actually, I'll get into this in my main course, but yeah, you get the smoker going early. You got to have, just verify that everything's working well. And, it's an important time. What do you got on your?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that you said that, because I was actually my number one was also going to be a drink. So I'm going a little different here. I'm just going, a nice bottle of red wine. I mean, I feel like if Thanksgiving wouldn't be Thanksgiving without red wine, personally. And
Absolutely.
You start the best idea. You start the red wine before your meal. Like you need, I mean, you're starting your first beer. Maybe you do beer. We're not doing red wine at 11 a.m. is what I say. So depending on what time you eat, let's say you eat, it's like a 3:00 dinner. You want to, maybe open the bottle up at 1, let it breathe a little bit, maybe 1:30, 2:00. You get at least one glass in before the meal. So you got something good going on. It's like, okay, I'm ready for the food, get the nice wine buzz going. And then you have more wine with your meal. And then by the time the meal is over, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, is what I'll say. You've had at least 2 glasses to 3 glasses by the time the meal's ending, and you're feeling pretty good. You just got to spread it out. You don't want to overload. You just got to spread it out a little bit. So that's why you start before the meal.
I think that's a strong play for sure. You can't, and good note, you can't have red wine before noon. Otherwise you're like I don't know, gotta have some serious conversations with yourself. Well, I think that's a strong take. Definitely got to have a good bottle of red on Thanksgiving. I'm going to go to my second choice. Let's see here. So, all right, candidly, turkey, maybe not my favorite meat ever. So that's why we smoke a turkey. We get a nice salty, good brine going. So I'm gonna leave that one off my pick here, because I'm not really that big of a turkey guy. But I will say I always do some steaks, some really nice steaks for Thanksgiving. So that's what I'm going wild card here. Beer before, maybe before noon, and then I'm going to go steak with like a nice compound butter. Get your sprigs of your herbs in there, and I'm going steak for Thanksgiving as my second pick over. Yeah, so I got to switch it up here.
I've never heard about people eating steak on Thanksgiving.
This will be my fourth Thanksgiving that I do a really nice steak because I will smoke the turkey and I will have some turkey, but it's such an overrated meat, and so it's like let's get the good meat in there.
That's fair. You know what? I'm gonna change out my ranking here. I'm just gonna come out here. Turkey gets a lot of hate.
Wow.
Every podcaster, everyone I listen to is just like, turkey sucks. I hate turkey. I don't know why we have it on Thanksgiving. We eat something else. But you know what? At least once a year, you gotta have turkey. I don't care about the deli sliced turkey. You gotta have real turkey. No matter how you cook it, spatchcock. I know you're a spatchcocker, so you spatchcock in the past.
I'm spatchcocking hard.
So I'm just here, like, people hate on turkey so much that I'm here to give turkey some love. Like, it's been, if we're all about tradition here, we got to have turkey, and no matter how you have it, I'll have turkey on Thanksgiving till the day I die, and it's making my top 3 list.
I appreciate the variety of take here, and I love that you've gone strong traditionalism here with the red wine and the turkey, and I've gone beer and and
traditional,
not even turkey, but no, I mean you're right. Like it's a popular take to not like turkey. Like people are, there seems like we're monopolizing the not liking turkey thing, but a good turkey is good. You got the leftover turkey sandwich. We always turn it into like the leftover turkey into like a turkey tetrazzini or like some sort of white sauce kind of little pasta, which is always good. Get a little white wine in there too. So I like the turkey as your second overall pick.
So do I. I think it's a great pick, and anyone who hates it, then too bad. Number 3, what do you got?
3. I went back and forth on this so many times, but I think, man, this is tough. But I thought, all right, so I'm going to list the ones that didn't make the cut, and that's the first one that didn't make the cut is a digestive, whether that's like a cup of coffee after your big dinner or like there's the liquors.
If that made the list, if that was a top 3 on your list.
It's just a shout out to how my, 30 plus tummy, you got to get those things. It needs to be moving around in there. But it didn't make the cut. I'm going to give, the other thing that didn't make the cut was a nice salad. I think salad at Thanksgiving is an underrated thing. You're eating so many things that are going to like sit in your stomach and just like not move. So salad keeps things moving, make sure that you can operate later in the evening and in the next morning. But I think finally, and this could be said for pretty much any meal, but a good piece of bread is absolutely necessary to sop up the gravy, to sop up whatever juices you're getting from the turkey.
The compound butter.
The compound butter. You make a little extra so that you can slobber that all over a nice like a dinner roll.
This is your number 3?
This is my number 3 is the bread? Dinner roll. Okay. At Thanksgiving, not just we're not talking like a random piece of bread here. We're talking a nice dinner roll. Yeah. It's been proofed, it's taken time. It's an artisanal piece of bread here, and it sops up all the stuff that you didn't quite get to with your fork. You get a little taters in there. You make a little bread taco, if you will. Even if we want to go across cultures here, but. I love a good piece of bread, and not just some lame, store bought. It's got to be a good dinner roll here. Get all the butter, get all the grease, get all whatever you need in there, and sop that sucker up, and it's a good bite.
I thought about dinner roll, but I didn't have it on mine. Steve Parada is telling us sweet potatoes are the GOAT. I almost put sweet potatoes on there. I think they're very versatile. And again, it's another thing that people, I was just listening to a podcast this morning and they said sweet potatoes were the most overrated food in the world. And I almost turned the podcast off right there because it's
that's an unsubscribe right there.
It's blasphemy. First off, as a traditionalist, we got to have the green bean casserole. That also is a possibility. But as people remember, I'm sure they remember from the cookie rankings, I got a bit of a sweet tooth, so I got to go dessert. My number one here, we got pecan pie. It's close between the pumpkin and the pecan pie, but I just like the crispy top a little bit more for the pecan pie. Doesn't taste. It's not overwhelmingly pecan-y, if you know what I mean. It's not like too nutty. It's like I'm like eating pecans by themselves. Not my favorite thing, but put it with some extra sugar, put in with some crust, a little bit of a glaze. That's what I'm talking about right there. So we got pecan pie. If you're watching on YouTube or Twitter, check this out. Thanksgiving rankings. We're both 3-0. There we go, Chris. What do you think about what's your favorite dessert?
I love the shout on pecan pie because that is by far the best pie.
There we go.
Yeah, pecan pie with ice cream, like heat it up, and then you give me a little vanilla ice cream on the side. I think that I would agree with you that might be my favorite dessert.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. My mom a lot of times usually makes like both pumpkin pie and pecan pie, but usually it's a little slice of each, but usually prefer the pecan.
Yeah. If I had to, I mean, another ranking on a ranking here, but pecan, apple, and then pumpkin of the Thanksgiving pies in that order. Pumpkin's
apple
just kind of
like apple last.
Really? Wow. Oof. Well, your
bets
are better.
Haven't had a good pumpkin pie.
I love pumpkin pie. It's good too, but.
All right, we got 10 minutes on the Thanksgiving rankings here. You can find Chris at CHR08 on Twitter. I'm at RotoZdroik. Thank you for listening to this. Let's win some bets. Let's enjoy our Thanksgiving. So we got midweek next week. I'm not sure we're going to be doing a show, but there will be some bets over at rotowire.com/soccer. So check that out. Thank you for listening to this. Maybe I'll cut this video up and put it up separately tomorrow. We'll see what kind of time I have. But Chris, enjoy your Thanksgiving over on the West Coast. I'll try to enjoy it over here. We got about 32 degrees, maybe a little bit of snow coming this weekend. So shouts to the Midwest, shouts to the West Coast. Thank you, Chris. Good luck in your bets.